So Patrick Mahomes recently weighed in about how Louis Rees-Zammit is looking heading into training camp, and he definitely had some great things to say while also coming off as cautiously optimistic until the pads come on. So I've got to talk about that and why it's exciting, the Chiefs hopefully staying away from this free agent cornerback that some say they should sign, a false comparison to the recent Rashee Rice situation, and more. But first, how about those? All right, and some quick hitter player news. This week, the Kelce brothers are competing in the American Century Championship, which is a celebrity golf tournament held in Nevada at the Edgewood Tahoe Resort. In case you were very curious as to where exactly it was, Mahomes has attended this the last 4 years with Kelce, but this time he's not going to be there, and Jason will be Trav's teammate. This tournament features all kinds of former or current pro athletes such as Devontae Adams, Josh Allen, Kyle Juszczyk, Trevor Lawrence. The list goes on there. And there's also a long list of celebrities competing this week as well, but I do not care to talk about them. So if golf is your thing, make sure to check out the Kelce brothers this week. Next up, wideout Xavier Worthy recently got engaged, so shout out to him for that. He's one of several Chiefs players that have gotten engaged in recent weeks. Such is life right now. At this point in the offseason for NFL players, you're either getting engaged or married before you head to training camp. Then, several Chiefs players have been seen out there working and preparing themselves for training camp that starts not this Sunday, but next, July 21st. Wide receiver Nico Remigio shared several training photos of himself, including this one of him nearly hitting his head on the ceiling. That man has ups. Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown, they have continued to train together, which you can see from this post by Rice on his Instagram account saying, "Monday work, brick by brick." A couple other players that could be seen training together are running backs Keontae Ingram and Deneric Prince. They've been training with T360 Elite, and he sent me some recent training footage from both of these guys going through various running back drills. And these are definitely a couple of players to keep tabs on come training camp, because as of right now, that RB3 spot is wide open, more wide open than Michael Strahan's front teeth after Isaiah Pacheco and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You have several guys in that room who are fighting for the spot: Amani Bailey, Carson Steele, Louis Rees-Zammit, as well as Deneric Prince and Keontae Ingram. Ingram was intriguing to me because he was a 6th round pick by the Cardinals in 2022, so he's got a couple of years of NFL experience already under his belt. Meanwhile, Deneric Prince enters his 2nd year in the NFL after marinating, slow cooking last year on the practice squad. He was called up for a couple of games in December after, I believe, Jerick McKinnon was placed on IR, but never played any actual snaps. However, a year in Kansas City's system is only going to be a benefit for Prince heading into year 2, and I would think these two are a couple of the front runners for that RB3 spot due to the reasons I just mentioned. Though I have talked about Carson Steele in a couple of videos. He's a guy who could play a unique role on offense as a running back, fullback hybrid. He's the heaviest running back on the roster, yet is still agile enough to be used as a running back. Louis Rees-Zammit will probably need to earn his spot mainly via special teams in the return game and possibly backup kicker. He's extremely agile, but has never played a snap of football ever in his life, from what I understand. Then Amani Bailey is, of course, another guy to watch out for. All in all, that RB3 spot will be a very intriguing position battle to watch out for come training camp. And if the Chiefs staff is not happy enough with the progress for that RB3 spot, maybe they do eye a veteran of some sort, whether that's McKinnon, like I've spoke on before, or another running back that ends up getting cut and doesn't make another team's 53-man roster. But speaking of Louis Rees-Zammit, he's actually on the top 10 list of jersey sales in the UK for the month of June. In fact, 3 Chiefs players made this top 10 list, which is how you know that people in the UK really know ball. Travis Kelce was up there at number 1, which is no real surprise considering the power of the Swifties. Then QB1 Patrick Mahomes was number 4 on this list. Surprisingly, one behind avid conspiracy theorist and darkness retreat specialist Aaron Rodgers. Then at number 6 on this list is the Welshman Louis Rees-Zammit, which is pretty cool to see considering he's from Wales. Wales is part of the UK, so you have the UK showing out for one of their own. Now, some take the jersey sales and LRZ's popularity to mean that he's for sure making the 53-man roster, but I personally need to see the pads come on and how he does come training camp and preseason before declaring him an automatic roster lock based solely on his popularity in the UK. Now, he's very, very athletic. We get that. Mahomes spoke about it when asked about LRZ on a recent podcast appearance with Rob Riggle. And here's a little bit of what he had to say.
He's going to do a lot of special team stuff, and he can actually catch. And so it looks different. He catches it like he's catching a rugby, but he never drops the football. So you don't complain on it. And I think what's been the best part about it is he works his tail off, man. I mean, he understands he needs to get better. He needs to continue to work. But the athletic ability is unreal. I mean, the 24 miles per hour, or whatever they clocked him at in rugby, is real. Like, he's fast.
Mahomes then said it's just about learning football compared to rugby, and until LRZ gets in a game and understands how to move and use his athletic ability, because he does move different, you don't exactly know where he's at. But what say you guys? What are your thoughts on the Welshman as the Chiefs head into training camp? As of today, by the way, the trucks are actually being loaded by the Chiefs staff to prepare the trip to St. Joseph, Missouri. But anyway, are you on the side of, hey, LRZ is for sure a roster lock already, or do you need to see how things go for him first once the pads come on? Let me know either way in the comments down below. And then earlier this month, Pro Football Network released an article called "One Free Agent Signing Every NFL Team Should Make Ahead of Training Camp." And for the Chiefs, they said it should be cornerback Xavien Howard, noting there's room for one more cornerback after losing L'Jarius Sneed, and that Howard would complement nicely with rising star Trent McDuffie. Well, he isn't who he once was at 31 years of age, but he is probably one of the best remaining available free agent cornerbacks out there. He's a 4-time Pro Bowler. He led the league in interceptions 2 years of his career, 2018 as well as 2020. So all that is great, but one reason the Chiefs should probably stay away from Howard is that he did struggle through some injuries over the last couple of seasons. He played through groin injuries in 2022 and was limited to 13 games in 2023 because of hip and foot injuries. Obviously, this is going to come with age. As players get older, their chances of injury increases. However, that's not the biggest reason why the Chiefs should most likely stay away from Howard. He's going through a court case, a lawsuit of his own, and I feel like the Chiefs have had enough offseason drama as it is. Back in June, a lawsuit was filed against Howard for allegedly sending a male teenager a sexually explicit photograph of the teen's mother because she refused to get an abortion. That is at least what is being alleged, which is a freaking crazy thing to read. On top of that, in a separate incident, Howard allegedly recorded and distributed X-rated videos involving another woman without her consent. Now, Howard does deny these claims, but come on, guys. I think the Chiefs have had enough drama for one offseason. I get that Andy Reid, though, is known as a coach who will give players second chances, and that's why Pro Football Network lists Howard as a free agent KC should sign, saying, quote, "Consider the Chiefs as another team that's capable of bringing in Howard amid his controversy. Andy Reid has worked with players who faced a distraction away from the field." I personally think the Chiefs would be just better off betting on their current players to step up and fill that cornerback 2 spot. Players like Najee Johnson, Jalen Watson, or Joshua Williams. You have others fighting for a spot on the roster as well. Kelvin Joseph. You got the UDFA battle. There's a lot of guys out there, but I think Najee, Jalen Watson, and Joshua Williams are the 3 really going to be fighting for that spot, right opposite Trent McDuffie. I think they should do that, go that route, rather than taking a risk with a player going through accusations such as this. Would Howard potentially be a good fit opposite McDuffie, or at the very least raise the floor of the room and be a pretty valuable backup? Yeah, but sometimes the risk isn't always worth the reward. But let me know your thoughts on that either way in the comments down below. Next up, Steelers cornerback Cameron Sutton was recently suspended for the first 8 games of the 2024 NFL season for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy. And once that was announced, many were saying, hey, this is worth looking at due to Rashee Rice's situation. However, the situations are pretty different in my opinion. For starters, Sutton had an arrest warrant issued for him regarding an alleged domestic violence incident in March. Sutton proceeded to eventually turn himself in and reportedly entered a pre-trial diversion program on misdemeanor battery charges. Well, the NFL does not play around with DV cases, so when you combine that with the fact that Sutton's criminal case was resolved in April, 3 months ago, according to Matt Derrick, this isn't really comparable to the Rashee Rice situation. Rice's case is serious. He's facing multiple felonies, but they will most likely get pled down to misdemeanors, and who knows how long Rice's case will continue to go on and play out. Then, if Rice's case is still not finished up by the start of the season, Rice may not even be suspended until 2025. And that's something both Jeremy Fowler very recently and Ian Rappaport during the draft have alluded to in previous months as well. So while some are crying, the NFL is showing favoritism to the Chiefs because Rice still isn't suspended and he was even caught on camera. They overlook the obvious fact that Sutton's case was again resolved in April, while Rice's case is still ongoing. The NFL likes to wait for the legal process of these situations to play out first before fully looking into and rendering a decision, a verdict of their own. That's why I'm not sure the 8-game suspension that Sutton just got foreshadows really anything in particular for Rashee Rice. But with all that being said, let me know your thoughts on that, as well as everything else I talked about in today's video. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?